Hi, everyone. Uh, Thank you for taking the time today to join my webinar to go over the time sheets through Evolia. My name is Alex Anicello. I'm a product specialist here. So I'll be guiding you through the ins and outs of how to use our timesheets, make approvals, adjustments, and making sure everything is ready for payroll. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and jump right into the platform. If you do have any questions, feel free to use the questions option through the webinar, and my colleague will be filtering it out and asking them through on the side as well. So we'll have time at the end for a bit of a Q&A. So feel free to ask questions as we go. So first and foremost, of course, you have to join through the platform Evolia, for which you'll be going into your left panel here and clicking on timesheets. Now, in your timesheets here, you do have a lot of options. So let's start from the top left here. You do have options to filter out if you want to work on specific teams, positions, locations, individual employees as well, based on your preferences. You could also sort them based on, again, your preferences, all depending you wish to do so. We also have the option to group everybody together by team, location, and positions. So all depending on your preferences. Now we can be able to see the timesheets either weekly or by pay period. And then respectively, once all that's been activated or personalized, you'll be able to see respectively the worksheets of the employees in question. So if I were to take a look into Paul Martin here, into his schedule, I could approve a timesheet directly from here. So I could click directly on it, see that in this case that my employee is absent, and then I can make either the approval, or the adjustment. Now, of course, if the employee is absent, we will confirm their absence. We will not be deleting the shift. So we could pull reports such as absenteeism. If we need to make an adjustment, we simply click adjust, and then from here, we'll be able to apply the hours that were scheduled in the case that the employee maybe forgot to just simply punch in. And if they came in late or you need to make any type of adjustments, whether for what's being paid for punch in, for punch out, any preparation time or additional notes. So in this case, my employee came in about half an hour earlier, and then I could even added a note here and say that he had car problems. Now, this note, I could also tag it into their employee profile so that when I'm looking into their profile, I could see all the reason as to why they're late. And then simply validate the adjustment, and then it's been automatically adjusted. We'll be able to see that I adjusted it today as well, so everything is tagged for follow-up purposes. Now we did so individually for one shift. Let's go ahead and dive into the worksheet of Paul Martin. Now again here, on the top, we will have a summary, either per pay period and or per week. And then we'll be able to see what's been scheduled versus what's been punched, what's in regular time, is there any overtime, PTO, premiums, expenses, and total amount to be paid before any taxes and or deductions. So as you can see here for my Monday, he was scheduled from 11 to 5, they punched in from 9 to 5. And I could also see if there's any type of premiums that's been added onto the shift and who validated the shifts. So a bit like we've seen previously, you're able to see all the information pertaining to each individual shifts, any type of premiums, overtime rule calculations as well. And then from here, again, we can always make the same adjustments. So a bit like before, I could go ahead and say, great, he came in today at 6. I'll be able to punch him in for him. And as you can see now, he is working. If I need to make any other type of clock in, clock out, and say, great, he started at 6 and finished at 1 o'clock in the morning, I'll be able to save that, and then I'll be able to see what's been punched, who validated the timesheets. And if ever you need to go and see more details pertaining to the shift, you could always open up the shift, see any information that's related to it, what's being planned, what's being punched, and of course, what's going to be paid. And if we scroll a bit down lower, we'll also be able to see the logs. So I'll be able to see who validated the information and who modified it afterwards. Now the approvals can be done individually, one at a time for each individual shift. I could also come on top here and I'll have quite a couple options. So the first one here is to recalculate the timesheets. If ever you did modifications, we could manually recalculate that. We could also add in PTO requests directly through here as well. So if he needs to add anything, maybe you went on vacation, we'll be able to submit it and add it to the employee's timesheets. We could also approve the timesheet. So this is our first step validation. So as I click through here, it validates all the timesheets respectively. And then when it's ready for payroll, we have also the option to locking it in. By locking it in, you will not be able to add any additional time on the timesheets unless it is unlocked. So in this particular case, I went ahead and locked it in. So in the case that if my employee were to submit a new expense or a new time entry, it would automatically block. So let's just say here he went to go eat and he wants to submit that meal. As you can see, my error code comes on and saying that he cannot submit it since my timesheet is locked. So the admin or the supervisor would have to go in, unlock it, and then they'll be able to add in their given expense, the amount, attach the file and picture for the expense as well, and then submit it for approval. And then once again, we go through that approval status. So I approve it, lock it in, and now it's ready for payroll. Now we can also jump from one timesheet to another here on the top right. So if I were to take a look at maybe my other employee, Niloz, I'll be able to see again all the same information. So you don't always have to go back. You could always just jump from one timesheet to another for each respective employee. So the approval has been done. Let me go ahead and approve my timesheet again from here. So you have the option to approve it, and of course, locking it or unlocking it as well. Now, once it's ready for payroll, you will be able to export that information. So you have a detailed timesheets for which you could export. You could export the summary and group them also by earning code, have your expenses, timesheets as well, or your night shifts. You decide as to how you're to receive that format, either through CSV or Excel. Then you could go ahead and use the same pay period, or for reporting purposes, you might want to pull out different information. And you'd like to know what you did back in 06. So you could go ahead and pull that information. Our reporting goes back and forward about 100 years. And then you'll be able to either send it directly by email and or download the given file. If we have an integration with Payroll, you'll actually be able to push our timesheet directly into Payroll. So these companies are such as Employeur with Desjardins, Nethris, ADP, WorkLinks as well. So these are all connectors that we've done through API, which is a direct communication with your payroll provider. And you'll have an additional button here on the right to be able to push that timesheet directly into Payroll and simply process it from there. So there would be no need to manually export the timesheet, neither manually import it. We take care of it on the back end. Now, additionally here, of course, if we were to go back quick into the timesheets, I'll be able to add any other types of PTO requests if need be, as we saw earlier. So as you can see here, there's a vacation leave that's going to be added on. And I could also add in any type of premiums, whether weekly, specific days, or overtime, based on your rules that you may have. So I could go ahead here and add a premium or create one. Our premiums could be a fixed amount, hours added, multiplier, bonus. Simply have the option to pay them and or bank them afterwards if need be. And in this case, we could always modify it. So I could edit my overtime bank and say finally he'll be paying it instead of banking it. And of course, I could always restore it to the original premium for which it came through. And lastly, of course, we could always delete it as well. So if I say finally it was a mistake, I'll go ahead and delete that. And then once again, as you can see, there will be a tag. So you'll always identify who did what, when, where, and how. So you have access always to that information if there's any case of errors when pushing information towards your payroll providers. Now, additionally, through the timesheet, we could also add time. So for a given day, any day, we simply log a time, do a time entries like we would regularly. So I could go ahead and select the team, the position, the location in question, the start time and end time, and the date applicable. with or without the breaks. And then I could also add in a note for reporting purposes or follow-ups. As you can see here, I added in a 1 hour time entry, have access to the note that I added in, and then once again, I could come in and view the shift information and approve it or adjust it if need be. So the goal here is really to simplify the entire process, of course, when it comes to approving timesheets, validating, modifying, you name it, or even for reporting purposes as well. At the bottom here, we'll also be able to see what's being expected, so what's been scheduled, what's been approved, and what's going to be paid for any given department or sub-department. So you do have the summary per day and the total summary per week or per pay period, depending on your filters here. So you have access to all the information if need be. And if ever you make additional modifications, once again, you could always come in and recalculate your timesheet. The goal here is just to simplify it, just to make sure that once the approvals gets pushed towards payroll, we don't want to have always make adjustments, so to speak, when it comes to processing payroll. The goal is to simplify the entire process if need be. So that gives a bit of a summary as to what we could do and how we can do it. We'll open up our session a bit for a bit of a Q&A. We do have, I think, a question on our end here. Let me see. Is there a way to copy and paste time entries in a timesheet? I have several individuals who complete manual timesheets in a location without cell or Wi-Fi access, and then I have to manually add them into Evolia later. They all work 10-hour shifts every day. Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. So to be able to do that, actually, we would have to start off from the schedule itself, or the employee could do their time entries prior to being it done. Because when we are doing time entries, it could be entered at any time. So in terms of time entries, it would fall back here onto your schedules. So in the case that you have a 10-hour shift, that's always going to be working. Let's just say it's my shift right here, and it'll be Gene here that's going to be working this shift as an example. I could simply create the shift. Once it's been created, I'll be able to select the shift in question by activating my selection mode, and then I could do copy and paste if need be. So I'll be able to add that in manually. Or when the shift is created, we could simply set a reoccurrence. So if he's working always 10-hour shifts, whatever the start time and end time is, and it's every days of the week or specific days throughout the week, we'll go ahead and set that repetition and say, great, this is what he'll be working for the next 3 months, 1 year, 6 months, you name it, set a reoccurrence to it so that it will capture and not have to worry about always re-entering the information. And then I simply publish it, it'll be assigned based on the reoccurrence that I created. So as you can see, it stopped on Friday, and if I were to go in the following week, I'll be able to see the respective schedule. And this will be added onto Gene's schedule here, as you can see. Great, let's go ahead and go for the next question. This one is coming from, here we go. Is it possible to add shift premiums after a creation? Yes, absolutely. You could add shift premiums after a creation. I presume it's after creating the shift. So you could go so in both ways. we could simply go into the schedule and edit it. So I would click on the schedule in question, click edit, and then here I'll be able to add in additional premiums in my advanced parameters. So in this case here, if they've been pre-created, or you could always create them on the fly, give it a name, decide, of course, after that, the premium type. So let's just say we're giving them a bonus of an extra $5 an hour, and then we could add the integration code for payroll. So the pay code that's associated with it, I added in as I can see, and it's been done. And now since this is a reoccurring shift, it is asking me whether or not I want to apply for all my following shifts or this specific shift. So let's just say it's for only this given shift, and then there you go, it's been added on specifically to this one. We could also do so, of course, directly onto the timesheets, right? It's a bit of the same process. So we click on the given shift, and after that, we view the shift itself. We'll be able to modify it, which will bring us back to the same page as we saw prior. So I'll be able to come here and say, great, he's also eligible for this type of premium. I'll give them an additional hour with or without code. And then I'll be able to add that into the shift, save it, and then again, apply it to the shift for all the recurring shifts. And then it's been added on through here. Now do know that the only way to add this in is if the timesheet is not locked. If the timesheet is locked, you will need to unlock it in order to add additional time or premiums in this case. So the premium has been added on, and then I'll be able to, of course, see who added on this premium with the logs. I can see a premium that was added on by me today at 11:19. So we always have access to all the information. And then once it's done, we come in, approve it, and then you're good to go. Are there any plans to add a today button to the time screen, like on the schedule? That is a good question, actually. I don't believe we have one right now, but I will note it to our team to see if it is something that we have on our roadmap or if we even thought about it for timesheets. Great. Thank you for that. We appreciate any type of feedback that you could give us. So we'll definitely take a look with our team to see if it is something that we could add, because I do see the utility of it, right? Because on the schedules, you just click here today, it brings it for today. Should have more or less the same concept for the timesheets. Very logical. Thank you for that. Great. Let's go ahead and look if there is any other questions here. Can an employee punch in before the start of their shift? Yes, absolutely. It will depend, of course, on the parameters that you had set for your punch. So if we go here on the left panel into the settings tab, we go down to time and attendance, and we have our time clocks, time entry settings. So from here, we'll be able to set specific rules to either allow employees to punch in earlier or finish later. And of course, same concept runs for pay. So we have what we call pay tolerance. So in this particular instance, if an employee were to come in, example, at 8:45, but they are supposed to work at 9 o'clock, will we be paying them that additional 15 minutes? If that is the case, then we could set a tolerance and say I allow X amount of minutes to be punched in prior and it would get paid, or we leave it at 0 minutes, meaning that we only pay them based what's on the schedule, not if they come in earlier, unless, of course, the manager approves it, which we'll have to do the adjustment on the timesheets. Now, concerning what happens if they punch in earlier or later, you also have the possibility of adding or disabling questions for clock out or clock in issues. Meaning that if they were to punch in earlier, we will prompt them with a message forcing them to enter a note as to why they punched in earlier, or inversely as to why they punched out later than need be. So these parameters can all be personalized, and you could also have them for different division, teams, positions, or even locations as well. So great question, absolutely. Now, if you are not admin, of course, and you do not have access to these parameters, I would suggest that you speak to your administrator or your supervisor whom has access in order to validate that information. Let's see if we have any other questions here. I have none on the webinar. Let's see on our blog here if we have any questions coming up. No, I believe that is all. Well, I thank everybody for today's time. Very much appreciated. If you do have any additional questions, feel free to reach out. We will be sending you the recording of today's session. If ever you want to fall back on it, and as stated previously, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to our support team. It will be a pleasure to help you. So thank you very much, and I wish everybody a great day.